What is up, entrepreneurs, creators, family? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Today is a wonderful day because we have fantastic freaking news. The advanced reader copy. So those of you that at some point one day in the future might write a book, or if you have interest in writing a book, you all know from the last Friday Live Helpcast where I kicked off the live stream sharing that I was writing the book, that we had finished the manuscript, the drafted, well, pretty much the written version prior to sending it out to the editor. And so I have some more great news this week. Today, the advanced reader copies, those that are going to different individuals, friends, colleagues, and the sort, they are getting the advanced reader copies of the book. And I am proud to share a little bit of what that looks like with you here on the Helpcast today. Let me just pull this up. Now, this is using an application I'm probably not going to use moving forward, but I want to spread the joy this fine day. So this is the advanced reader copy of the book, and I could not be happier. I could not be happier. The book is going out to the advanced readers. So if you're a part of the community and you want to read the advanced reader copy, this isn't going to go out to everyone. I would have a couple questions for you prior to it, just to see if it's a good fit or not, or what have you, or if it's right for you. Again, just depending, this is the blanket message out there. If you are a friend and you're watching this, whether live or on the replay, thanks for being here, and you want to get a copy of the book, the advanced reader's copy, this is before the revisions from a professional editor. So I've gone through it ad nauseating amount of times. Okay, I've listened to, we have some other good news, other fantastic news out here in these digital streets. I tested my setup, which was the initial point from the beginning when I got my Shure SM7B and the Rodecaster Pro. It was the original, because that one would have worked too, but now the Rodecaster Pro 2 is in attendance and has been for some time. Tested the setup, and we are Kindle approved. We've met all the requirements. As far as the audiobook is concerned, I read a chapter and submitted those details just to make sure everything would be in alignment. So there will be an audiobook for my book that's coming out. I've already done it. And when I tell you, I don't gloat too often, except for when it comes to like white chocolate, all right? Because it's better than dark chocolate. Just want y'all to know. So if you're new here in the community, just know, I already know what team you're on based on that statement, okay? Are you really with us over here? And the milk chocolate people going to be like, what about us? And I'm saying, what about us? What about, no, I'm just kidding. But so the audiobook, when I say it sounds velvety smooth, no noise whatsoever. It's not like where you kind of hear when the speaker's talking, kind of get that little bit of static. There's no noise in the audiobook. It is a beautiful thing, but I can't do the final version of the audiobook until I have the revisions back from the editor, and then going through it again. And then at that point, we will be starting to work towards that. So I'm very excited. This is not a long read. It's not going to take you 3 and 4 days. Right now, the book is sitting at about a 2-hour read. I'm going to try to even shave that down, hopefully a little bit more without losing the integrity of the content. But I'm excited. I'm very excited. I hope you all are having a fantastic day. Let's get to the comments. Say hello to the good people in the stream. What's up, Dr. Elo out here in the business? And a 5-hour power stream. No, we're not doing no 5-hour energy live stream. Okay, for those of you that are new, maybe you've been around in a while, the 5-hour energy live streams is when I literally do a live stream for 5 hours. Go back through the live Helpcast playlist, and you'll see we rarely hit a 1-hour live stream. So when we do, it's a different kind of day for me. I have things I can accomplish. So no 5-hour energy stream today. What is up, Lamar Griffin? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying congratulations. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. So did I actually catch one of the, did you actually? Yes, you did. Indeed, you have. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. What's up, Sam's Exotics? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Lisa Cosby in the building. Good to see you, Lisa. Glad that you're here as well. Saying you should be. That's major for it. And you know what? It really is. I would encourage you all. And again, if you're just joining, I'm talking about at the moment right now is the audiobook and the ebook that's become available. Like I was sharing over here, it's available. It looks good. The formatting and stuff, it looks good, but it needs a little work. It needs a little work. So we're getting that together. So I'm very excited. But, you set different goals. And I think it's important that, like, the whole point of and the premise of this channel is to help you simplify the video creation process. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a creator, you really, maybe real estate, maybe you are consulting, coaching, whatever the reason is that you create your YouTube channel, maybe it's outside of your business, but for the purposes of this channel, it's all about helping entrepreneurs simplify the video creation process. And at some point, you want your videos to serve the business, and not only just serve the business, but serve your actual target audience and the like. So the book is no different than that. But the whole thing is like, when it's all said and done, what are you doing with what you're doing? Like, let that settle in for a second. What are you doing with what you're doing? What's the point? Did you kind of get into a loop where you're just looking for algorithm hacks and stuff like that? Or are we really accomplishing things? And so I've been extremely grateful, humbled and honored to, one, have the time freedom to write this book. Not that you can't with a job or something, but you're different. I can definitely say I'm a different person outside of working a 9 to 5. And I would be when I clocked out as well, because you feel free. You feel free. And so that's what I hope and my aim is with this book, is to make sure that I can give a roadmap of sorts if you're trying to create better video content for your brand and your business, because we have goals out here in these streets. And I think it's important that we all try to go after them and achieve them. Saying, you girl, let's face it, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Appreciate you. Saying congrats. Thank you so much, Dr. Elo. Appreciate that. Saying, I'd love a copy. Let me know. Hit me up on Instagram at Diana Gladney, and DM me on Instagram. Saying, can we pre-order? It is not at a place to be pre-ordered yet, because it's not been back from the editor. So that process will take, it's not 10 days from today, but the whole, allegedly, and again, that's allegedly, it roughly take about 2 weeks at best to get back something. And then, so it's a little bit of a volleying process with doing that, because here's the thing, and I didn't mean to go off. If you all have questions, please put your questions, type in your question. I will answer questions, whatever it's about. This is a Q&A Friday live helpcast. So whatever you need help with, just ask in the chat. I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. But I'm just kind of, this whole documentation process as well has been extremely gratifying, because like, this is why, like, for me, in a lot of ways, my vlog channel has been everything for me personally. And it has nothing to do with anything YouTube specific. It just is more about documenting and capturing my experience. And so I just got a video back today from this morning from my video editor. I haven't had a chance to review it. And it's about me. It was me finishing the book. And so I'm like, now I have pinned at the top of my brain like 3 other book ideas. So it just like didn't become one book. The vision has grown into like a little series. So I'm extremely grateful for that. But the documentation process of, again, what's the point of what you're doing? What's the point? What's the end result goal? I didn't think this season of life would be something where I would write a book. I'm thinking, well, maybe that's down the line or something like that. But what I found over the years is maybe initially when you first set your goal, where were you? When was it? And who were you? When was it? Where were you? And who were you? Because when you set a goal initially, and the where you were sometimes in life, and the who you were at that moment or that season in your life might have been different than who you are today. I could definitely say from the days of setting certain goals that I've achieved over the last, 3 years or so, those goals were set at a time when I was a different person. And so even my mindset was different. Not that it was like bad or something like that, but you always want to be progressively getting better. And so because of that, my thinking has changed. Your belief systems improve, or we hope. 2020 was different for everybody. 2021 is different for everybody. 2022 has been different for everybody. However, like, I don't think we should ever get so distracted by the things around us that we forget the things that are inside of us. And so because of this, like, I look back at some of the goals that I set and when it was, I was sitting in a cubicle. I was thinking about hoping, one day, it was a goal to set like at a one day. No, it wasn't date specific, so it wasn't a SMART goal, SMART. Make it specific, the acronym for SMART. And so I'm like, where was I? Where was I in my life? In a place I wasn't really happy. And then who was I? In the process of becoming who I wanted to become today. So now when I look at the goals that I'm setting today, and I'm looking back like at the me that was sitting in the cubicle in the bank with a little window in the bottom of corner, because we had 3 screens. So I had 3 computer screens when I worked at the bank. And for sure, one of those tabs, I had 30,000 tabs open at that point then. Okay, the internet could handle it there. And one of those would be a YouTube video. Every single day, I would set up and have like a playlist of content, or I'd have a playlist of books, or I'd have a course that I had invested in that I was going to go through. And so because of that training, I would spend no less than 30 hours every single week on personal self-development, business, or something. I would have the same kind of journals that I have today. I take a journal every day with me to work, my headphones. If you saw these, I made a rule. Made it very easy. If you see these, don't talk to me. Send me a DM, send me an email, and I'm still going to ignore the email. But, the who I was then just saw the possibilities. Like, it's possible. I know that I could. I just don't know the when. And so now to have those days here, like I said, the documentation process of that has been everything for me. And so today, I'll be vlogging some more today. And so you'll all see those vlogs if you are a part of the vlog channel. It's just like at Diana Gladney Vlogs. You type that into YouTube, you can find the vlog channel. And so it's like today, I'll be documenting some other parts of the journey. And so I'm just extremely grateful. And I just want to share what that experience has been like, because everybody on here has a goal. Whether you're watching this live or on the replay, everybody on here has a goal. And I think it's vitally important that even if you don't post it someplace, maybe you don't have like a vlog channel, there's no point in setting up a second channel for you or something like that. Still capture those moments, zip those files together, put them in a Dropbox folder for later. So when the day comes and you decide, you know what, I actually do want to share some bits of this, or I wish, this is the one thing I would definitely advise against, and we'll move on into the comments in the chat and questions that you all have. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. But even if you don't post them, even if you don't edit them, at least capture the moments. Capture the moments, zip them in a file, and put them off to the side for later. Because I promise you, one day you'll get to a point when you say, I'm glad I have this, versus I would hope, I wish I had captured this. So just see the value in your micro moments in life, because I think as you progress forward in life, it's going to be extremely valuable to you, if not to anyone else. And to you, it's going to be like extremely important. So love the new FX30 for streaming because of the LUTs. It'll transfer via HDMI. The FX30 is a different kind of camera. It's a different kind of camera. It's a nice camera, but it's a different kind of camera. And audio sounds great here. Why, thank you so much. Appreciate that. So will we be able to hear you read the book on Audible? So we will be able to hear you read the book on Audible. Yes. It will be my wonderful, velvety, smooth voice. No, it's, yeah, you'll hear me read the audiobook. The process of that is not as hard as you would think. Honestly, I think I put too much thought into it initially, like, man, it's going to take so long and stuff like that. But I'm not trying to write books it takes you like a month or something to get to. I'm not writing, some, huge, big old chunk, or maybe one day at some point I'll make an 800-page novel or something. But this is not that. This is, hey, I have a layover, a 2-hour layover at the airport. What can I read? You can read this book and be done with it. That's what this book is designed for. It's like, can I read this on a Saturday? Yeah, and still have your Saturday. So that's what this book is about. Saying I need that on a t-shirt. What specifically? Saying, I didn't know you had a vlog channel. Yeah, so if you type in at Diana Gladney or at Diana, you know what? Let me just pull it up. Because let me see if I even remember what the link, Diana.link/vlog, I think. Yeah. All right, so here we go. Diana.link/vlog will take you to the vlog channel. I will throw that in the chat. And that will take you over to my vlog channel. It's just me documenting my experience, my thoughts, ideas, and the like. So go to dinah.link/vlog, and that will take you over to my vlog channel. And there's also a video, Simplified podcast video channel as well. So those things are available. Alrighty, let's go through these questions. Hello, Mr. Camera Junkie. Good to see you. Glad that you are here, Mr. Luis Vega. Question, how do I get motivated to spend? If you mean like investing in equipment and your gear and stuff, it has to hurt bad enough for you to want to, unfortunately. Because it's either going to be one of two sides of a coin, or not even two sides of a coin. It's either you see the value in what you want, like the goals and the visions, and you believe in them enough to send money ahead of them arriving. Like, I'm going to send my money ahead of the goal that I'm hoping to, not even hoping, that I'm planning, I'm in the process of achieving. You have to change your language. And so it's not that I wish I could, I hope that I can kind of a thing. It's like, I am willing to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm willing to send my money ahead of the goal actually being achieved, because I believe in the pursuit of what I'm in the process of is going to happen. The second side of it is, if you don't quite have it, it has to hurt bad enough for you to want to. Like, it has to hurt bad enough to where you're tired of how much time you spend. For example, the audio. Like I said, in about 2 years ago, it was like December, like around Vlogmas or something. I invested in the Shure SM7B that you're listening to now, and the Rodecaster Pro, the first version. This is the second one, so it has a little bit of extra bouginess to it, which I really enjoy. But it has to hurt bad enough. You have to get tired of spending time, for example, like I said, for the audio. You have to hurt bad enough for you to keep wanting to spend time with the editing. Like, dang, I'm tired of, like, it takes me 2 hours because maybe my computer is slow, and it takes me 2 hours to go through and fix the audio, and then I gotta wait and see what the render files look like, and then hope that it exports right. And it's taking so much time to do something, or I always have to do X in order for me to do it. Like, it has to hurt bad enough. And it's only those two schools of thought. And literally, at some point, we all have the money for whatever it is that we really want. We just spend our existing money on other stuff. You know, it's like you can have the money literally for anything that you want, depending on where you're from. For most people, if you're watching this channel and stuff like that, you have some access to disposable income. May not be as much as you want at certain times or what have you, but that's life, you know. But at some point, like, we all have disposable income. It's just a matter of, do I need it to hurt bad enough? And then I'll do it after wasting my own time, being exhausted with the process, losing the joy for why I wanted to create to begin with? Or do I believe in the future of why I'm buying this? I bought the Shure SM7B and the Rodecaster Pro because I knew, not because of the live streams, not because of my regular videos. Those were fine. Nobody's complaining about that. Was complaining at that time about the audio. Nobody. Not one person was like, man, this is a great video. I just wish the audio was better. Like, 0 people have ever said that in the comments at that point. I love my Samsung QTU. Loved it. I could not see, like, I'm like, that Rodecaster Pro and that Shure SM, it better be magic in the making. It better make me have, okay, roller coaster ride joy feeling, okay? And so I'm like, man, everybody's like, oh, come on, Queen D, you got to get it. Brother Lisa, you got to get it. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, it better be as magical as everyone says. And then you hear your own voice on the stuff, or like a camera, for example. And I'm belaboring the point here, but to make the point, it's like, it's the camera. It didn't take me long to go from Canon to Panasonic, back to Canon, and then to Sony, because I was with Panasonic, and I'm like, y'all got a little bit of time before I leave, because you can keep wasting your own time with this pulsing autofocus. I don't know who I should look at. We can keep figuring it out. Just keep investing in us, and we'll see if we want to do it or not, kind of a thing. Because it wasn't like they didn't have the money. At my expense, On my time, absolutely not. We're switching brands. We can go back to Canon. Matter of fact, the M50 just came out. I can go get this one and be in focus and know that I'm in focus the whole time. Or once Canon decided, it's like, we don't want to, we don't want to keep giving features. Like, just go to a cinema camera. Word for you. And let's go to Sony, who has a freaking buffet of options. Nothing's limited. It's a buffet. Eat as much as you want. Have fun. Here's a 39,000 inch screen TV to kick back, watch the game, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, did it hurt bad enough? I didn't need it to hurt. I was just like, I would like to stay with you. I'm not going to waste my time with you. I'm moving on. So I just believed in the vision. So back to your question, how can you get motivated to spend? Either it has to hurt bad enough from you wasting your own time, spinning your wheels, because you ultimately, I believe, don't believe in why you would need to make that investment to make whatever happen, like, or it just doesn't make sense. Something is off. Like, just verify. Is something really off with me thinking I should have this? Like, am I just kind of like getting social peer pressures of everybody's getting FX30? Do I need it? No. It's like, does it need to hurt bad enough kind of a thing, or is there something really there? So you got that one side, and then the other side is, am I going to send my money ahead of me because I believe in the vision for why I'm going to spend this money? I didn't have a problem. I'm gonna be very honest with y'all. Early on, when I started making videos, I still worked at the bank. I'd let the lights get cut off to get a camera if that's what I needed. Or if like it'll be like a 4-day difference, y'all cut it off. I can go to my mom and daddy house. I ain't worried. I can go to my sister's house. I ain't worried. It's like I can go make videos at the park. I don't care. Or it's like the gas finna get cut. Okay. It's a monopoly anyway. It's like, y'all get it when you get it. I'm trying to do something. And I can make a few videos in between now and then, or whatever. It's like, I'm so serious about how gutter it was in the very beginning. Or payday loan. For a long time, when I worked at the bank, before I was a temp at one point, working with a temp company for me to actually start there a couple years prior. I didn't have any money. I have no money. So I was in the payday loan game. But I'm like, you know what? I talked to the ladies. I'm like, what are the fees? How does it work? Whatever. And they're like, if you pay by such and such date or whatever, then you can, I'm like, okay, I got so good. We built a relationship with those women there. And so I got stuck in the payday loan game for a minute, but I'm like, whatever I need to do to get free, whatever I need to do to get free. I would call my parents and be like, can I come eat over there? Because I didn't have a whole bunch of money to go buy groceries for. I'm so serious. I was so gutter in the beginning because I just wanted it. I believed in what I believed I could do, not just what I could do, what I was supposed to do, And I'm like, because this bank stuff ain't it. I will make as much money as possible while I'm here, but at the same time, I'm going someplace else. Like, I'm not. And I'm going to share this with y'all, and then I'll move on to the next comment in the question. This is how we get 45 minutes behind in the chat. So just keep putting your questions in the chat. I promise you I'm going to answer every last one of them. Not this deep, but I'm going to answer every one of them. Last final thought on this. It was a lady that was like 77 and was retiring for like the second time in her life. I think the first time she was like in the school system. I can't remember if she was a cafeteria lady or like maybe one of the ladies in the office kind of a thing. But then she started working at the bank. So she was retiring for a second time in her life. And no shade to anybody around, those kinds of things at all. Because she's very happy with what she was doing. She just wanted something to do. She's retiring for a second time. They had this beautiful, fantastic white on white cake with some strawberry filling like on the inside. It was a chef's kiss. Sitting in the break room with a young lady that I was friends with. And I'm just baffled about the cake. I'm like, this is white on white cake. I'm in my bag. Do you hear me? And so she made a statement and she said, man, I can't wait to retire. Can't you? And I said, hell no, I can't wait to retire. I'm not retiring here. She's like, what, you think you'll work at another bank? I said, no, I don't think I'm gonna work another job. Like, and I was nowhere near close to being that, but I just believed that was what was going to happen for me. Every day I would walk in there and say, one of these days I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna quit. I'd be so serious. I'm not lying to you. I walk in that bank every day. They be like, "Hey, Diana, good morning." I'm like, It's like one of the ladies, so nice, so wonderful. And so we would joke all the time because I come in, they're like, "Hey, Diana, good morning." Everybody's super chipper. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, "Hey, just give my headphones. Let me start my books. Y'all stay over there." And she'd be like, "Oh, here's Eeyore. So unhappy." So we had this running joke. So I appreciated her. But that's why. Ultimately, that's why, honestly, YouTube is more than just YouTube for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes a lot of things possible for a lot of people. And I know personal friends. I know people that I've followed, people that I've mentored by. YouTube has changed a lot of our lives. It's possible for everybody. That's why I believe in it so much. Maybe YouTube isn't your primary platform, what have you, but maybe it's TikTok or something. But YouTube has changed a lot of people's lives. Saying, do you have an email? Yes. You can go to dinagladney.com. If you want to get on the email list. That will take you over to the main site page. We actually have quite a few offers. We're going to be updating the website here in a second to, one, a new headshot. Number two, because I have much longer hair now. But number two, I'll share this with you. So you can come over here and you can get the free video planning guide and click on that little button right there. But yep, you come over to the website, get whatever it is that you need, schedule a strategy session, whatsoever. So yep. All things can be found here on the site. But you click right there in the beginning, and it'll take you over there. All right, say, greetings. What's up, Big Pontiac? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Send velvety smooth voice. Yes, indeed. I say, question, how can I get motivated to put the time into learning Final Cut when I can easily make videos and get videos on TikToks and Shorts? It's the same process. It just is a mindset shift, honestly. It's the same process. It's just a mindset shift. And the reason why I say that is because it's true. When you think about a TikTok or a YouTube short, it's a shorter version of a video. You know that you've introduced time constraints because you can only upload up to a certain point. You can't upload a 30-minute video to TikTok. It's impossible currently. And so, like, I have to make the video time frame within this time frame, and it's going to fit, right? Okay. However, why not take that same mindset approach to what you're doing for this? It doesn't matter what you edit, honestly, to learn Final Cut. It just is being in the program long enough to learn. And the most important thing is knowing that you don't need to know everything for you to export and publish a video. Period. You don't need to know everything about Final Cut in order for you to use it. You need to know the bare bone basic essentials. How do I bring in a video? If I have photos or music, how do I bring those in? Quick answer, drag and drop. I still drag and drop to this day because most of the time, like, my refinement process of how I want to do this is very clear. I'm not editing as much these days, if hardly any, because I've built a team. Hashtag buildingateam.live. Go there for the course if you want to access that. We even have some videos on the channel about that. So it's like I'm not doing it as much anymore, but the process and stuff, even how we work as a team, is still the same. What's my vision for this video? How long estimated wise is this? It's why I talk about the content quadrant. How long is this? Great. How long does this video actually need to be? That's the real question. Am I stuffing it too much, or can I separate this out into like 3 videos? If that's the case, make a 6 or 5 minute video. It's not that much longer than maybe the raw file footage of a 60-second video, unless you're just kind of holding it up and like editing and recording in the TikTok or YouTube Shorts app. But it's honestly just a mindset shift. Now you got your files and your stuff in there. How do you cut? Easy. Control or Command B. Keyboard shortcuts. There's a video on the channel on that. Keyboard, my favorite keyboard shortcuts. I always keep one hand on the mouse and one hand on the mouse, and one hand on my keyboard, always. So this is doing my keyboard shortcuts. These are actually some keyboard shortcuts. The muscle memory is just there for it. And then I'm just moving the mouse. Unless I need to type something, then both of my hands are on the keyboard. But otherwise, I'm just doing this. Make your baseline edits and cut and shave down stuff. Where's your transitions? Right-hand side. Keep it simple. Make simple videos. Export. So you don't have to get motivated about it. You just need to commit to, is it important to you or not? That's all, honestly. It's like to commit to it. Is it important to you or not? That's all. So Final Cut is one of the easiest programs to learn. It's the fact of, oh, what about keyframing? And what about doing all this extra other stuff? Does your video require, does your next right now video require that? If not, pass. If it doesn't require it, why? Like, what do we need to export a video? We need to bring in the files, B-roll, whether that's another video clip, whether that's an audio clip. You need your music. Maybe you bring in the sound effects, no different. You can drag and drop all that stuff. Okay. You got all these stuff on your timeline to edit. Cut. Control and Command B or whatever. Whatever it is, Command B. Command B. I even used the brackets to kind of even speed that up. Now we're going to export. At some point, once you're done, you add your transitions, title screens. Pick one. Stop trying to pick 12. Reduce the mindset and make a mindset shift around it. You don't have to, you're getting frustrated, I would imagine, because you're overthinking it. That's all. What is up, blind guy, his wife, their life? Hey, their question. I'm no snitch, but only 5 of us clicked the like button. My question is, what's your book's customer's goal? My goal is typically B2B for better scaling. Okay, first question. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button if you're getting value out of today's stream. Number 2, was it numero dos? I think. I speak English and bad English, but I'm working on some other languages. I'll tell you that right now. Number 2, what's your question? What is your book's customer goal? Same concepts and the same principles that I teach on the channel about helping you simplify the video creation process. I want to help the entrepreneur be able to transition into a content creating entrepreneur on YouTube. You can watch all the videos that you want. You're still going to find yourself at some point in a land of confusion. For the entrepreneur that is in that space, even if you don't have a business, there are some people that may pick up the book that aren't entrepreneurs or have a business yet. That's fine. But this is specifically targeted and catered towards entrepreneurs. And so you're a real estate professional, you're a coach, whatever, you're selling a product or service or, what have you. You may be doing good in your business. You're not doing great with content creation. It's all new to you. So for that entrepreneur, it's going to help them transition into becoming a content creating entrepreneur by giving them different strategies, concepts, and the like on how to actually do that and implement some different secret recipes, as it were, on how to do that. So that's who the target is for my book. It's not like, I'm not telling you like for editing, make sure you hit Command B to cut. Like it's not like that. It's not a manual in that respect. Now, second question or whatever. No, or not whatever. Okay, I did address that. Yeah, so if you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. His guy. Oh, wait. I said his guy. Blind guy, his wife, their life. Hope you all are doing great. Said, no, that is not what I meant. Accidentally hit send before I finish my question. Okay, got you. Is there any way you can make the lag time on chat less? Yeah, just not answer the questions as much. Maybe. But no, if you mean like as far as like not responding time, but like how much it pops up, I don't know. There's not really, here's the thing. There's not a lag with the chat. It comes up and it keeps going up. The problem is I take a long time to answer everyone's question because I answer it fully. Saying we got a whole nother tip for free. Everything's for a reason. Say I already spent the cash. That was not my question. So specifically, I think I answered the second question that you asked, but yeah, but that was still a good response for those that may be suffering with that. Send, just leave and come back so you can scroll through since you want to answer when you want. Well, here's the thing. You can always scroll through. I did not turn that off. That is an option or a feature within YouTube. You can scroll back or scroll through if there's a specific part that you want. It just won't be timestamps until later. Saying, I celebrate what you are doing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Please put a Q. Yep, put a Q in front so you can get your questions answered. Saying I can come in a little early. I can stay a little late. And that was why, Brother Luis. I can come in a little early. I can stay a little late. But I can tell you one thing I'm not going to do. Wasn't going to do a whole lot of overtime at that bank. That much is the truth. What is going on, Obs? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying I build a folder with all assets, then upload the folder to Final Cut Pro for a workflow, hashtag workflow. I feel you. I used to take a more organized approach when I would be editing videos, and it's like two schools of thought around this, but I enjoy being as organized as possible. Instead of spot editing, like, oh, I need a song, let me go find one. Most of the time, I already have a vision for how I want to approach a video. Like, I already more than like, I'm like, I think I wanted to have this kind of music. I think I wanted to have, like, I can see like us doing like a whoosh and something, like, you know, I already have like my imaginations about what that video is. The process, like the workflow, to show y'all a little bit or expose some of the behind the scenes really, is I have my process of how I capture content, like how we're going through the process when I'm planning it out, and then like the execution of it. Now, when it gets to the Final Cut Pro part, we have and I showed this, I believe, in one of the videos recently about working with the team, is like your A-roll and your B-roll folder is what are the primary parts of the video. So maybe let's say one part's in the office, another part is coming from when I was out of town or something. Maybe I recorded a tip and then we finished the video up with me in the office again. And so those are my A-roll clips and stuff like that. Then the B-roll may consist of anything else that we get added to it. As far as the music, I would even go so far as to create a playlist in, like I love to use Upbeat. And so I'll make a playlist in Upbeat while I'm listening to music. So for example, this whole process of like I've been bad about replying to emails this week, or getting back to emails that require my attention, because my assistant's been handling that, which I'm extremely grateful for. When I'm writing the book, I have like ones that kind of help me get me in the zone. Then if I'm going through like revisions or something like that, what I'll do is I'll spend some time making sure that I'm listening to the songs that trigger that imagination of what I think this video should be. So when I send that stuff to my editor, he gets an organized version of that instead of my spread out, blanketed thoughts. No, it's a very refined process. Now, if I was to edit stuff, I would probably still put it in a folder, but because I know I don't want to pre-download a bunch of assets, I usually already have what I want to make and what I have a vision around. One pro tip I can give you all is if you're making content for yourself, you're editing videos yourself, what I would suggest is create a event. If you're using Final Cut Pro, I can't remember what the language is for Adobe Premiere Pro, or even I don't know what it is, would be for DaVinci Resolve, but essentially create like your assets folder. These are the songs that we regularly use that are really on brand for us, that I really love and enjoy. These are the sound effects that are a part of the brand. We have branded transitions. We have primary options when it comes to text and title screens and how we want to do that. And then we have other ones that may be, again, for the idea of that video, maybe something different, or it's like, I think I want to do this kind of, take a different approach. And so like I'm pre-doing work and stuff like that before I edit, instead of like sitting down, bringing in the file, and then it's like, now what do I want to do with this? So it's a lot of ideation around that, but I have an assets folder of all of the stuff that I use regularly instead of just constantly having piece pull stuff into Final Cut Pro. And again, to each their own. I just like to use that process and have stuff off of my computer as much as possible, and then not bring anything in until I actually need to edit outside of assets and such. What's up, Humphrey Larrier? Is that right? Good to see you. Glad that you're here. So let me know. So what is in the cup you're drinking? I always have coffee for my live streams. Cayenne, flax seeds, turmeric, cacao milk, cacao and almond milk and sugar. It's the drink of champions. This is just a Colombian roast coffee with agave nectar and water. I keep it simple. I do not try to get complex in my setups of anything. But yeah, I like to sometimes it just might be black, depending on the roast or the who. I don't have any favorite coffee brands per se, just because I'm happy if it's a good cup of coffee. I like strong coffee, so that some agave nectar to sweeten it or whatever, coffee creamer, a non-dairy coffee creamer specifically. I'm a plain Jane. I don't get too bougie with my with my drink. So that's what's in the cup. If y'all have any questions, hey, we can have a 40-minute live stream. I'm okay with that. If y'all have any questions, let me know. I can be sure to go through and answer those. And I want to check back with Deb's question. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I answered that right. Let me search real quick. Okay. I think I pretty much answered that, but I just want to make sure because I don't want to gloss over it. Because you did say you hit send before, which I am guilty of that a lot. So I think so. I think I did. All right. So if anybody has any questions, drop those in the chat. Or if you have concerns about something else, I suppose we could chat about it. But for the most part, yeah, saying the turmeric will bless your soul. Just saying. So we have, I want to get too deep in the health stuff, but I've been trying some, what is it like, supplements, turmeric supplements in English, turmeric supplements. So I've been trying those, and those were great. So, but it just depends. It takes some time for, to get your body to respond to certain things or just see how you respond to it. So that's something I've been trying. I've been looking into a lot. I've been really blessed by how much knowledge and information and stuff is out there about health or what, basically energizing, feeding your body things that energize your body instead of detracting from it or just eating just because kind of a thing. So that's been helpful. That's been helpful. I really appreciate how much stuff is out there. Saying the audio quality sounds pro. Well, thank you so much. Glad that you appreciate it. Courtesy of the Rodecaster Pro 2 and the Shure SM7B for sure. So, you own a website. I'd like to contribute. Is that possible? We had Buy Me a Coffee. If you wanted to, give me a second. I think I turned on where you could leave it through YouTube, but if you prefer, you can go to Buy Me a Coffee, I think. Let me see. But we really sunsetted that just because So the Buy Me a Coffee, it's like, I think it's Buy Me a Coffee. I have to remember /Diana. Because we were using that for like we were using that, but we're not really. But I think I just forgot to turn on the what do you call it? Super chats and the like for the stream. But I'll turn those on and maybe that button will pop up in like a second or two. But if anybody has questions about video, YouTube, live streaming, gear, or the like, let me know. Be glad to assist. Monetization on. So I think you can leave it that way if not like Buy Me a Coffee or what have you. But that is usually the best two resources to give you access for the most part. Yeah, you can use in English. You can use Buy Me a Coffee or the super chats. That'll work. Saying, hey folks, since we're talking about coffee, what's up, Mo Grizzly? Good to see you. Glad you're here. I like Cuban style coffee. I've been on Colombian roast coffee for a long time. It is just a really nice blend of goodness and joy. My dad said, you make coffee strong enough that'll wake you up and kill you. I disagree. I'm still alive. Said question, is Final Cut only available on Mac? I have Windows and can't seem to find a Windows download. What would you recommend for Windows if not available? So Final Cut Pro is for Mac only. I'm not going to lie to you. I switched to Mac just so I could use Ecamm Live, which is what we're using for the stream right now. And 99% of the videos you probably see like at this desk or what have you, even when I'm off to the side a little bit on the desk, is using Ecamm Live. And then for Final Cut Pro, I literally switched to Mac for that. I thought, I'll just use these programs on it. And then the ecosystem was better for my personal workflow. So I invested in it for that reason. I don't know if it's important enough for you that's something you do. But if you're a Windows user, DaVinci Resolve is very impressive. It's extremely impressive. And it's a pro editing software. It is for free. They do have a paid version that'll give you access to some additional things. But and then the other one is Adobe Premiere Pro that a lot of people enjoy. It just is a matter of, I would probably look at some reviews, not really reviews, but just like tutorials or something of how to use those programs so you can get probably your mind wrapped around how to look at how those programs would work. When I did that back in the day, I looked at Adobe Premiere Pro, which all of these have free trials except for DaVinci. It's just free, and you literally have the full suite for the most part, minus a few things. But it's not enough that would keep you from literally doing anything that you want to do. It's really amazing and very powerful. It just like the workflow, in my opinion, of how those worked. Now, the other thing is that DaVinci Resolve has improved quite a lot. It's like substantially. So that's why I would recommend DaVinci Resolve for sure. Adobe Premiere Pro is amazing. And the reason why I recommend those two above any others that might be out there, then I'm going to give you some secondary options as well in a second. The reason why I recommend those two highly is because you can find just about any tutorial on anything that you want to do. So that if there's any idea that you have, likely you can get help from a fellow creator on YouTube by way of a tutorial, or them, if you need clarity or something like that, leaving a comment and they respond. Even like DMs on Instagram if they're not as responsive on YouTube. But the thing is you can find anything you need just about with those. And what I think is important is plugins. How can I get this program to help bring a better version of what I'm imagining to life? And so you can get a ton of plugins from title screens, effects, transitions with any of those. Like I said, I don't know for everyone if investing in a Mac would be important enough for you to use Final Cut, but it was for me, because I personally couldn't vibe with either of those two. I've tried them. They're fantastic programs. It's just not my personal cup of coffee instead of tea. And then secondary recommendations would be something like a Movavi video editor. It's fantastic. You'll get a lot of the same benefits of some of those top tier programs, but I would check out Movavi. They're really good. And then you also have, Wondershare for More? They're another cool one. I starting to kind of like Movavi a little bit better, but I would check those out for video editing. And I'm saying I also write about YouTube stuff for my audience. That's amazing. A super chat. I appreciate that. I have not messed with this Rodecaster in a minute. Let me see. Nope. You know what it is? I have not messed with my Rodecaster, had it down for a second. So let's try this. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Blind Guy, His Wife, Their Life. This was already on to... Okay, it was. Thank you for verifying that. Because I thought so. But thank you so much for the super chat. I sincerely appreciate that. Saying I went out and bought a MacBook specifically for the ability to use Final Cut Pro, but I was coming off of a Chromebook and not a Windows PC. So the thing with that is, like, a lot of people, especially right now, it's a lot of hell about, are you Android versus iPhone? Are you Mac versus some kind of non-Mac computer? Basically, we always say Windows PC, or a PC in general. But I mean, my thing was, I'm not brand loyal in that respect. I'm loyal to my efficiencies and the time that stuff saves me. And is there an easier, better, and more efficient with like zero workarounds and stuff for what I'm trying to do, as much as it can be? And Final Cut Pro was that. You know what it came down to in a very simple way? And again, I'm talking about DaVinci Resolve from the era of 2016. At that time, it was a bit more clunkier as far as the workflow and the way they had stuff done. My thing is, I could drag a photo. If I'm like, I got this idea for a GIF, type it in, go download it, drag it from the folder, drop it on the computer in the timeline. Simple. You know what? This song is it's a little too busy. Let me go. I think I could use. Let me go find a lo-fi track. Get one. I'm like, yeah, that's the one. Drag and drop. Easy. Now, is Final Cut Pro updated as often? No. It's not to the extent of like Adobe Premiere Pro. Adobe stays on the ball with updates and stuff. I love the Adobe brand. honestly, they're amazing. I just don't personally prefer the way some of the things are done with the editing. So I just preferred Final Cut. And that was enough for me. I'm like, I'm patient. I can wait. I'm not hurting for it. I've had video editors on the team that use Adobe. We have branded assets and stuff that work for both. So I'm like, I don't care what you use. And it opens up a new door. So, kudos if you get a computer for that. But yeah. So what's the cheapest camera setup for 10-bit filming? Right now, like universally, okay, let me start with Sony, because that always is very extremely clear in my mind. Universally is a different situation than like a Sony, maybe Canon kind of a thing. So from a Sony perspective, it would be the brand new Sony FX30, because that's at an $1,800 camera instead of the A7 IV, which is the next one up. That would do 10-bit internally. And that's in a $2,000 price bracket, like $2,500 if I'm not mistaken. I would love to say expect to see more, but I have no verification on that. Universally across brands, it would be something like the R7 and R10 by Canon. Fuji has done a fantastic job with that in a lot of their cameras. I think, and I could be wrong on this, down to, and matter of fact, we could probably pull this up when we go to the wonderful world of B&H Photo Video. And also, not to misdirect anybody or anything like that, but I want you all to know how amazing B&H Photo Video's customer service chat support is. If for any reason, I'm not saying this like don't ask me a question. That's not the point. I don't mind if you all ask questions. I encourage you to. The thing is, though, if you ever find for some reason you cannot get an answer to some technical camera, video specific, even photo specific question, I promise you the B&H Photo Video chat support people are really great. I've not found where too many brands do as good of a job with that, but I would definitely check that out. So B&H Photo Video, like I said, live chat support, even got video support now, so which is cool. So yeah, if you can't get answers for some reason around something that you're doing, like it still ask. I don't mind if you ask me, but I'm just saying, like, for anything, if you've run into that problem, really leverage some of these companies. They make their business by that way, and they're specifically partnered with these manufacturers for these different brands for a lot of the stuff. So Sony-wise, 10-bit cameras, $2,500. That's the next best one. And then, like I said, the Sony FX30 comes in at the $1,800 price range. That's the FX3. My apologies. Let's do FX30. Yeah, so that's coming in at $1,798 for the Sony FX30. That's in the Sony ecosystem. Now, universally, if you're talking about just any camera in general, I believe the Fuji X... I want to check the X-T30 real quick, because I believe that camera had some stuff going on. I don't know. So it's 4K 30 F-Log. Let's see if the Mark II has it. Because I want to say yes, but I'm not sure. And I believe the Fuji X-T3 has that. I'm just not as sure. Let's see if we get any 10-bit. Yep. So Fuji X-T30 Mark II is 422 10-bit via HDMI. It's something. It's maybe not internally, but it's something. So you hook it up for your stuff, it'll work for you. So it does have, just again, 422 10-bit. Again, make note, up to 30-minute time limit on this one. Does not have the fully articulating flippy flop screen. It's a tilty flipper. It's a tilty flipper screen, which is not bad, but this camera is actually really cool. No shade to Fuji on that one. Then the Fuji X-T3 is another one of their amazing cameras that at one point in its life was one of the top go-tos. That's T4, T5. Did they discontinue the T3? Interesting. Okay, XT4. Okay, where's the XT3s? Anything? Going once, going twice? All right, maybe they dismissed the Fuji X-T3, but if you can find those online, you probably can find find them at a good price. The Fuji X-T3, I'm not satisfied that I can't find that, but the Fuji X-T4 is not that long since it has come out. You get the body only, brings it down to $1549 for that. This camera, again, for the specs, this is, I believe, another 10-bit camera. Most of their cameras, for the most part, they've been doing it. Let's go down. Yep. H.264 and H.265 10-bit internal DCI 4K 24 up to 60, 4K 60, and 100 to 400 megabits per second is actually really good. So you're going to get high quality as far as that, as well as externally via HDMI. Again, another one of my features that I disagree with, 30-minute record limits. We're past the world of where that should be a thing, but these are slightly older cameras. But even when they came out, they could have did it. They could have done it. So you got that. Now I'm going to completely break the mode here and shock and awe everyone, because the Panasonic GH5, now granted, the autofocus sucks. It sucks in this camera. It's not great. This is somebody that's going to pull autofocus. $1,300 cameras, again, you can find these cheaper, and up to $978. But the Panasonic GH5 was doing 4K 60, 422 10-bit internally for a very long time, as you can see here. Specific video specs on this one. 10-bit. Let's see here. Yep, 422 10-bit, 4K 60 frames per second, with some very nice high bit rate files. 420 10-bit even, so if you need something that's not as large of a file, but even the bit rate, when you start getting into higher bit rates, even if it was just regular 4K 24p, it would still be large files. Unlimited recording, microphone, headphone port, some of the best stabilization in the business. Only problem is autofocus. And it was a little bit of a greenish tint-ish. And this camera is heavy as hell to me, personally. Heavy as hell to me. For the most part, that's what you're looking at. It might be some Nikon. I don't really recall of Olympus doing too much around that, honestly. So, but those are what you're looking at universally. For Sony, though, you're looking at like the Sony FX30 currently. Then you're looking at Sony A7 IVs. You can probably find some of those used since the Sony A7R5 recently came out. That has an incredible screen. So if you get one of those, that's about the cheapest that you're looking at. But I would not say, don't stop at 10-bit. Make sure all the other accoutrements are there that you need when it comes to 10 bits. And I never hear the fans of my M1 Max, the Intel AMD makes laptop. If Intel AMD makes laptops that aren't helicopters, I would buy them. Fun fact for that. In recording like the audiobook test, that was one of my primary concerns, because I'm not hooked to my computer, but I'm using my computer. I don't have a tablet, which I've looked at getting like an iPad. I just need to make sure I could actually use it. And you know what I'm saying? Like, not that I could use it, but I would have use of it. I hate to buy stuff that I just know I'm not going to use. Like, I think I will, and then I don't. I don't do that too often. So that's the only thing with laptops. You're going to get fan noise. And that was the thing, like I said, I was concerned with doing the audio test and stuff. However, it was no issue. And then you could record directly to the Rodecaster Pro. But my personal preference setup and stuff involves a computer. But yeah, fan noise is something that I think, to an extent, it's like you really can't do a whole lot to it. Now, you can, though. My thing is not, when it comes to dealing with fan noise and computer and ambient noise, to a point, that's why the Rodecaster Pro honestly became one of the best audio investments, in addition to the Shure SM7B that I could make. Because I noticed that fan noise, because I use a MacBook Pro, that fan noise that is going right now. Because I got that, a couple applications, probably 48,000 internet tabs open. I just cleared out 100 plus on my phone. So, it's like you putting your stuff to work. And I was listening. I'm like, man, is the fan noise going to get picked up? It's like, no. So you can get around that by simply getting better audio equipment. And that's what I did, because you can adjust the audio levels so that the frequency that the fan noise is in, you can kind of cut that out. And so the noise reduction, in my opinion, with the Rodecaster Pros, more specifically the Rodecaster Pro 2 accompanied with the Shure SM7B. Could it be other microphones? Is great, sure. This is just what I personally use and prefer. But it's amazing. And that's one of the things that get me, because I don't want the whole foam on the walls and all of that. It's not my personal cup of tea. Saying, hello, I love your tutorials. Also, do you help for content creators having a hard time using video editing? Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, it's like if you have, if you need help, ask the question. That's what we're here for. So if you have questions, put Q, : drop it in the chat. We are here to support. So we're going to be on for as long as people have questions. We'll keep answering them to a point, because these can tend to run long. We're not about that out here in these digital streets. So if you have questions, put a Q, : drop it in the chat, and I will answer your questions. I make a goal. If you're new here, for anyone, if you're new here watching this on the replay, thanks for being here. Make sure you hit the like button if you're enjoying getting value out of the stream. I make a goal of answering all the questions. Am I going to give you just a snippet kind of a thing? Most of the time, no. I'm actually going to fully, as to the best of my knowledge, answer your question if I can. So yeah, if you have questions, if you're not necessarily an entrepreneur, but you do have questions, ask away. Do my best to assist you. So when it comes to like the 10-bit cameras and stuff, even like I said, the Panasonic GX5 has been doing a lot of great things for a long time. Panasonic only really suffers from the autofocus, and that's been their biggest thing. But if you are even like the Canon, let's see, what is it, the R10? This camera has 10-bit in it. $879. $879. We'll get you going. 4K 60. Let's pull up the specs. Drop it all the way down to the 10-bit realm. Internally, you get 4K 24 up to 60 frames per second, 1080p, 24 up to 120 frames per second. In H.265, you still get 422 10-bit. Excuse me, that was 420 8-bit that I just read off. In 422 10-bit, you get 4K 24 and 60 frames per second. Then you get 1080p, 28 to 24, and then 120 frames per second. So this one, the R10, which I think a lot of creators really resonated better with the R7, and we'll pull that up next. But this one has it, and they did remove the recording limits for that, and it does have a fully articulating screen. So in this round of cameras, the R10 is probably the best bet of 10-bit internal unlimited recording, meets all the requirements I think are required and necessary for content creating entrepreneurs. However, you will run into the one singular issue that I hope Canon fixes right now, and that is they cut off third-party manufacturers from making lenses for them, with autofocus, that is, saying that it basically encroached on the integrity of their patents and stuff or whatever. So that's the only thing. For everybody else, you can get third-party lenses like Tamron, Sigma, Mica, whatever the company's name is. Even Neewer makes some manual focus lenses at times. Rokinon, Samyang, all those guys had some lenses, but Canon kicked them in the shins and said, we don't want you. So you may just be stuck buying Canon lenses for that one, which the R lenses are excellent, but it just comes with a price. So is it going to be cheap overall? The camera, yeah. The lenses, no. The R7 now, excuse me, let me go back up to the price. This is a $14.99. So the other one I think was like $849 I just went off of. This one's $14.99. So you want a 10-bit camera? The next up would be 422 10-bit, H.265, 4K, up to 60 frames per second. Gets 1080p, 24, 120, and then 420 8-bit. You still can do 4K 60, 1080p, 120 frames per second. Get the Canon log in there. A couple other things and some other stuff. Dual SD card slots, which there's a picture on here. Yeah, so it's like the ability to have it on the side instead of like on some of the other cameras where it's in the bottom is just efficient, because I don't know if they've changed this with these cameras or even some of like the R5, R6 cameras. But one of the things that I just found that I did not personally like, that I found was a little silly, was the fact that like you would open the battery door, and I get it's like every brand does their stuff differently for a reason, obviously. But when you open the battery door at the bottom of the camera would shut off. And so if you literally just needed to change the SD card, you didn't need to actually turn the camera off. You had to have the battery door closed on like cameras like the M50 or whatever in order for you to do that. So you got to turn the camera off, all that stuff. And it's just a little bit extra clunkiness. So the fact that the doors are on the side, some of these newer cameras, it's a small efficiency thing, but and a lot of times it's not. So it makes it that much easier. And I appreciate that. So if we go back to the R10, not there, R10 879, pull those photos up. I don't recall them showing like that you don't have the battery door on the side. So you are back to the realm of putting it in the bottom. The thing that I liked about Panasonic and Sony cameras in using those is simply opening that battery door does not stop your video. It doesn't turn your camera off. So you can open and leave the battery door open. It's open right now on my A6400. Stays open. So it's the little stuff. It really is the little stuff that gets me with that. But this is your smallest camera price-wise. What lenses would you pair with this is the big question. I like that 15 to 35 or something like that. Let's just look at some of the lens prices. Yeah, you can adapt lenses, but come on. That's real clunky and real heavy. But any of these ones with the red rings, the RF lenses are great. Any of the original Canon lenses, a lot of them quality-wise are very nice. But this 15 to 35 f2.8 L series, the IS means it has the image stabilization built into it, is a really nice lens. But I hope you are strong and lifting weights. If you are strong in lifting weights, this camera this lens will be nice for you. Yeah, you can get to 24 to 70, but you're already working off APS-C sensor. Let's see I'm curious, real quick, since you asked the question, which you're sending me down a rabbit trail. The R6 Mark II did come out, but I want to see what the R6 currently is set at now price-wise. So $2,200 on this one. Open box still at $2,200. What's the point? Why would I get a brand new and then the open box one is still the same price? What's the point? It's supposed to be cheaper. If it's used, touched, a fingerprint smear, whatever, somebody else had this camera before me, it's used. So open box and $22.99, but whatever. So I would just get the new one at that point. So $22.99, you might be able to find this camera that also is 10-bit. Sometimes you can find it a little bit cheaper. It just is a matter of being efficient with the searches and the like. But universally, you can find a lot of 10-bit cameras now, like across a lot of the different brands. Save Olympus, I don't know that much about, and I don't know what that company, OM Digital, is doing. I really liked Olympus. I was hoping that they would kind of push on, but they wind up selling their company to somebody else. So, alas, we shall see. James D. Buzzard in the building. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Let's see here. Mr. Camera Junkie saying, I've also been using Crisp for background noise processing. Now, Luis, is that like a plugin that's specific to the computer? Is it like a Final Cut program or what have you? Let me know, because I am not familiar, but I will Google it on the side while we go to the very next question. If you have a question, put a Q, : drop that in the chat. I'll get to that in just a second. So crisp.ai, this is not a recommendation. This is just pulling this up. No credit card, and it's free. But why do you have pricing? We have something available for pricing. We don't even know what it does yet, but let's just check it out. So pricing wise, you get free noise cancellation, background voice cancellation. This is how I like to figure out what a program actually does, is just go to the pricing page and like what's included or not, and then go back and look at features, requirements, or whatever. So I have a better gist of my analysis process. So free, good for working professionals, 60 minutes daily. That wouldn't help us. Background noise cancellation, echo, HD voice, talk time indicator. That's interesting. 2 devices per user, $8 per seat. Just for the fact of it's not that it would be unlimited, would automatically the pros looks good. SSO. Okay. So like I said, most popular. So $8 if you're going yearly, $12 if you're going monthly. That's somewhere in the Calendly thing. So this is a nice option. Thanks for sharing this, Luis. We appreciate you as always. And so, okay, we can see how that works. It looks kind of like, what do you call it? Loopback. It looks kind of like Loopback in this regard, used by Zoom. That looks really interesting. A little widget. I like that, Luis. This looks good. So if you all are having issues, depending on your mic or setup or what have you, I would look into this. It's krisp.ai, KRISP.ai. This is something worth looking into. Luis, if you have an affiliate link, feel free to drop that in the chat so people can support you. Thanks for the recommendation for that. So yeah, krisp.ai. So I'm going to drop this official link just in the chat. And then, Luis, if you have an affiliate link, please drop that so we can support you. Thanks for recommending that. All right. If you got questions, drop them in the chat. We're going rapid fire to make sure I'm not on here for 5 hours. We're not doing a 5-hour energy stream. Can you suggest a great portable mic that I can attach to my cell phone to flip to me, then to the audience? Mine doesn't turn. So 2 schools of thought. Number one, the Deity D4 Duo is the solution. And then I would just do that because it has 2 microphones on there. Now you have other microphones. I believe Movo makes one that is, or it's like Movo. It's not Ulanzi. It could be another one like Comica or something. They look very similar, but I believe it's Movo that has one like this. But this is the answer. The Deity D4 Duo. It has 2 microphone capsules on there, so it's one right here for you. Like, or either if it's pointing, like, so if you're pointing it kind of in this direction, this microphone in this part, front part here, let's say you're pointing that at the person. Let's say you're doing man on the street videos. You're doing some kind of low-key event for a nonprofit and you're getting like people's feedback for the day or something like that. This microphone, this is the part that would point towards them. And then you have another microphone that's pointing towards you, and you have options to decide if you just want to use it like a regular microphone. So if like you're vlogging, only the front part works, or you can decide to use both tracks if you want, or just have the options. Those are not molded into one audio file. It's separated out. So you can have those options. So this is, in my opinion, is the solution. I wouldn't suggest something like what I used to use, which is a little ceramic mic where you're actually physically flipping it, because one, you have to wait, hope that there's no interesting chatter while you're moving it that can make the noise, and it was more prone to pick up audio noise. This would be the solution, in my opinion, for this, because it's fantastic. So you can put your microphone in there, you have the output part in there. You can do a lot of stuff. You can do a lot of stuff with this one, but the Deity D4 Duo looks a little silly with the dual wind muffs on there. In my opinion, it just looks, because it's different. It's a different kind of mic, but this is the solution. Deity does a great job, honestly, for that. So I would check that out. Like I said, I think Movo or somebody makes something similar to that, but it just depends. So, saying I have a Nikon Z6 II, and I don't see why it can't do 10-bit internal with 2 processors compared to the Z6 Mark I. So, Mother Oats, good to see you. Glad that you're here. So it's just sometimes these brands introduce artificial limitations, and that's honestly what it kind of boils down to, for product segmentation purposes, and for them to know that when you get into the content creation space, there's getting less and less creators that are only really efficiently able to create with one camera. And again, I'm not saying that your phone is not a camera source. I'm specifically referring to a dedicated camera. And so they know that you're going to want a top-down shot, and you're going to get tired of taking your main camera, change the settings, or just switch to whatever your save settings options are, and then hook it up and then do that. You keep doing that too many times, they know you're going to want another one. And so they like, well, if you want this feature, drop a little extra cash, we'll give you that. So sometimes it's just a product segmentation deal. It has nothing to do with the capabilities of it. That goes into a lot of my decision-making process for a brand. It was a video I did a few years ago. I just shared like my thoughts of how I processed what brand, what features, what are my list of what I call non-negotiables, what are the things that the camera must have in order for that to work. So if we pull up the Nikon Z6 Mark II, Mark II, let's switch it on over yonder. So 1896 for this camera. Let's go to the specs. And it's like, let's go down to video. Flash. Did I switch past it? Would have had to. Here we go. So recording limit up to 30 minutes recording. Artificial limitations. 422 10-bit via HDMI. Again, kind of expected. It just says 4K. So I'll probably have to go to like their website or something, or just Amazon to see additional details. 4208-bit, 4208-bit, 4K 30, 1080p, 120 frames. These are artificial limitations. And I'll tell you why. Camera brands are not in the business of essentially kind of like wasting their own time and money on purpose. And it's just honestly, I think for the most part, they know they have a photography first brand for most of the people, even those photographers are hybrid creators. I love to follow the journey of people that do the Forza motorsports. They do the Forza stuff of like the race car tracks, like all that stuff. I love to watch those photojournalists and stuff like that, just to see how they use their brands and stuff, their cameras and stuff. A video is always secondary, which is why anytime I see this kind of screen right here, it is a photo first based camera. Either the brand doesn't care about giving you a fully articulating screen for video, or most of the time, they know the primary brand that they have, and this maybe camera model type is specifically focused and geared towards primarily a photographer. So it's not a bad camera. It's just that one of my buddies actually uses Nikon, and he makes incredible freaking photos, incredible stuff. Like, I mean, it's like seriously incredible looking stuff. You can put it in magazines someplace. And yeah, it's no way that this camera can't do it. It just is an artificial limitation. 100%. Now, the Sony camera that just came out, A7R5, what did I type in? Z? I wonder why I don't have a picture for that. So this camera just came out by Sony. This one has the most incredible screen I have ever seen before in my life. It has both. And so the other brand that did this well was Panasonic. They are mostly indie filmmaker, video-centric first cameras. Dual SD card slots, and those SD card slots are dual ones with the CF Express Type A, if not CF Express Type B, I can't remember. And then SD UHS 2 cards. This one has this fully articulating screen, like I love personally, Team Side Flipper Luis. And then it has the tilty flippy screen on here. So you can get the best of both worlds. You literally can, you don't have to choose, you can have both. And so Sony knows at this point that a lot of their hybrid shooters are, they pretty much a 50-50 brand, if not like a 60-40 video first, then photography first brand. I think a lot more video creators use Sony, it feels like it to me anyway, than photography. But even the photographers are pretty hybrid. Anyway, this is an amazing camera because it can do both. But right now, everybody else hasn't done stuff like this. Even this is Sony's first camera since like their A99 or something like that, that does some kind of crazy articulation that's very efficient. But yeah, so it just depends. If you see that side flipper, not the side flipper, but the tilty flippy one like before, it's just really not, there's no interest in making it a video-centric camera. My thoughts on the issue. What's up, James D. Buzzer? I said this earlier, but I want to say what's up to you again, brother. Saying, greetings, building out my forthcoming video studio. Congratulations. Brian Jones, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Any recommendations regarding lighting options and camera and microphone mounts? If you are building a video studio, my number one recommendation will always be to buy stuff that will work as a system instead of buying simple things and individual things that may not work best together. Because what you find is you start searching a bunch of stuff of the best camera for, or the best microphone for, or, you know, things like that. And then you may have a good option, but does it have maybe something that's very small that makes it more compatible and an easier workflow process to combine all of these different things. There was a lot of problem that a lot of people had in 2020 and 2021. You just buying stuff. You know, some of that was like, if it's available, you've been hearing about it, you don't even have time to deliberate. You're just buying stuff. And so because of this, you're just like grabbing stuff. Now you got all these things and you're like, how do I make it work? If you can't, you got to keep buying stuff. So look at what you're trying to build. Look at the system of things that you actually need. It's like, okay, I need a camera that's going to focus on me so I can do my live streams. I have my Zoom conference calls. I can hop on a meeting, whatever. I can record content even this way. What's the system of gear? I've shared this in a downloadable document before and on the channel as well. It's like, okay, I need my camera. I need the cam link. I need the cables. I'm going to use the Rodecaster Pro. I'm going to use my Shure SM7B. I'm going to use my Loop Deck Live. I have my computer, a second monitor. That's my system. You know, it's like, and it's efficient. It works for all of those things that I just mentioned. Now, it's slightly different if I want to go sit in other parts of my office that are other recording options. How can this system help over there? Not that much, because I'm not trying to move this. This is a stationary setup. I ain't moving nothing. Whereas if I'm using my floater option, it's another system. What do I want to do? How am I going to connect this to this kind of a thing? So that's my suggestion. When you're building out a studio, build a system and buy the equipment that fits the system of gear, what you're trying to do, while also making sure those individual pieces of equipment meets those needs and expectations of what you have, so that you aren't like, it works for today, it won't work for tomorrow. That's the frustration when it's like, this is good for today, it's not good for tomorrow. So that's what I would say. Saying thank you for going over the 10-bit lineup. I noticed so much of a different versus 8-bit. Yeah, like I said, even with the 10-bit options, and for those that aren't familiar with like 10-bit versus 8-bit, I love to just describe it as simply as, imagine having a box of crayons and it's like the 64 pack. You have all the color options for the most part in there. You have a few different shades, variations, but now go get that mega 24 something Kachugger options of crayons with the Bees Knees Hall of Fame. Back in the day, let me tell you something. You started school with a 200 plus crayon box, something with the crayon sharpener in the box. Hottest kid on the playground. Do you feel me? It's hottest kid on the playground. You'd be like, oh, your crayon look a little flat, Steve. Let me help you out and sharpen that crayon. You see that, boy? Here you go. Here's a crayon for you. That was me. So it's 10-bit versus 8-bit. It's like 64 box of crayons versus a 200 plus. You're going to get a much wide array of colors and be able to stretch that color depth. So you will notice a difference because you're able to see more of what is there. The other thing also, even sometimes if you have an 8-bit camera, this is where I think Canon has done this really well, and Fuji has done this really well. You have higher bit rate files, even though you may not get, sometimes the 10-bit in some of the camera models. And with the higher bit rate, you can get still a nice quality image. It's going to be bigger files, but it's going to be a nice quality image. Saying, thank you. Which video editor do you recommend for editing for dummies? P.S. I love your tutorial on Camera 7 setup last year. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much. Insight with T. Appreciate you being here. So it's really not like a video editor for dummies kind of a thing. My approach is to invest in now what you eventually want to use anyway. So don't go get, for example, a Wondershare Filmora program if you really just want to use Final Cut Pro, or it really has the capabilities of what you want to use. Is Final Cut Pro as easy as Filmora? No, not at all. So sometimes it's like being able to differentiate the two. Is my skill level there yet, or am I really going to slow myself down trying to use that? Then it's like, give yourself some grace in maybe using something like that for a time. I would recommend, like I said, Movavi to start with if you want, just to kind of get your head wrapped around what you want to use. But herein lies the difference maker that a lot of people probably don't cover or experience until you experience it, which is when you start learning a program, you learn all the ins and outs around it. You learn how to make it efficiently work for you. Now you're really efficient with it. Go to a new program, you're starting from scratch. So I didn't spend a whole lot of time. Well, I wouldn't say a whole lot of time, but I spent some years getting the basics down. I personally I didn't start with Filmora, but it was like early on when I switched from another program that I didn't care for. But that one was like, Filmora was the one that was like, okay, let me get my brain wrapped around editing and how this works to do some basic stuff. I don't even know if Movavi was in existence then because I had never heard of it. So I'm like, okay, here's how I do this, or here's when I want to do this. Now I have a system of how I create, and I have kind of like a brand aesthetic that I've established, or a style that I like. Now I moved over and invested into a Mac so I could use Ecamm Live and Final Cut Pro. You start from scratch with Final Cut Pro, but the elements that you're putting into it is the same. So the only thing I needed to find out now is, how do I bring in my assets? What's the language? What's the difference between project versus an event versus, like a timeline, like which you already know coming from a video editor. But for dummies, I like Final Cut Pro. If you got a Mac, go with Final Cut Pro. Honestly, is Adobe great? Sure. Is DaVinci Resolve amazing? Absolutely. Final Cut Pro is super easy. Why? Drag and drop. Drag and drop. And that, honestly, that was enough for me. Drag and drop. If I wanted to move something, so for example, if I put this up, so this is like part of our process for something else. Matter of fact, let me take that down and put something else up, like it's an image. So to put this up, okay, I'm using Ecamm. Put this document up. You see how I'm just moving that around? I can say, let me just put it here. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Let me just put it here. This is why I use Ecamm. This kind of stuff is why I wanted Final Cut Pro. I didn't want to have to move stuff on the Y and the X axis. Then that'd be the only kind of way I could move something per se. It's like, I just wanted to be able to say, okay, I want to make that a little bit bigger, move it over, boom, I'm done. That's what I can get in Final Cut Pro as a video editor, and that's what I wanted. So that's why I chose it over anything else. So that's why I like it. I wouldn't say it's a for dummies thing. I don't think you're a dummy, but, and I get the branding around that, but I wouldn't say you're a for dummy. You have what you say. So, but I just think ease of use, Final Cut Pro. Next to that, Movavi Video Editor, which we could probably pull that up and show you all, which I'm not sponsored or whatever with them. Movavi Video Editor. Let's pull up this, y'all. And it's just a really cool brand. They do a lot of good. They do a lot of the good stuff right. Available Mac, Windows users, whatever. And the same kind of a setup. This looks just like Filmora. So if we zoom in here, so you can see what I'm talking about. So like in any video editor, for the most part, it has the same stuff. This more or less becomes your control panel. This becomes where you pull all your stuff. But for the most part, you can drag and drop all your stuff on the timeline. I'm drawing this with a mouse, so don't judge me. And then this is where you watch your videos. That is the worst arrow I have ever drawn. But let's draw a line to make it look. It doesn't. Let's just erase. I passed kindergarten, I assure you. But yeah, so you have right here, let's just do a check. Let's do a check. Screw the arrows. And that's where you watch what you're editing. You can see what you're putting together. All video editors, for the most part, and then when you export, it's this button right here. So all video editors essentially the same thing. I want to go find my transitions, sounds, whatever I'm bringing in, kind of a stuff. I'm going to choose those options over here. And then if I'm looking between those options, I'm going to choose that over here. My timeline of bringing everything together is right there. Where can I watch the stuff that I'm editing? It's right here. And then how can I export? I can't draw number 5 with the mouse, and it's going to be right there. That's the basics of any video editing program, essentially, for the most part. Like I said, Adobe expands on that because it's even all of them honestly expand on that. But that's the general basics of any video editing program. That's what you need. That's exactly what you need. It's just the basics, essentially, of that. All of them have that. Like I said, Movavi's layout is similar. You can easily, I think, make that transition if you did want to go with it to Final Cut Pro. But if you can get Final Cut Pro, just get it. Just start with whatever you're going to use eventually. Just use it already. That's what I believe. Whatever you're going to do eventually, you might as well do it now. Because the one thing that you will get, and again, I'm not sponsored by them. You can send me a check if you want to. Every time I mention your name, Movavi, you can make that check out to support at Dynaclady. So, but yeah, that's the basics. You can bring in transitions. You can do some other various things. Like they have the chroma key on here. If you're just starting bare bones basics, you want something that's a little bit more dialed down for you, start here. Start here. Title screens, green screen, just condense it down to vertical videos or whatever. They even got some stabilization stuff in there. How well that works, I don't know. Picture in picture, cool. So again, some more stabilizations, voiceover, which I really like that option as well. But yeah, let's check out the effects store real quick, and then we'll move on to probably some of the next and final questions. So if you have a question, put a Q in the chat. And then let's see here. Yeah, so this is the other thing, which is like Movavi, you're not going to find this on like and that's the only thing with like programs like this and Filmora. You're not going to find those effects that work in here on some of the more popular effects site stores. So you're stuck on using their stuff. If you think it's too cheesy, you don't like it, that's why you would just go with what you're going to use eventually. Eventually you do grow out of this, or your brand just doesn't fit for your aesthetic and what you're trying to go for. Maybe you're going for a more professional vibe and stuff like that. You just want something that works for you. Let's check out this online class one and see what this looks like. $50 for 13 effects. And you get some stuff like this. It's okay. It's not bad. It's just different. So again, you got some stuff in here. Even like the end screens for YouTube, stuff like that or whatever. You get some stuff in here, but in my opinion, whatever you're going to use eventually, you might as well use it now. That's my opinion. Whatever you're going to use eventually, you might as well use it now, because you're going to save money in the long end. Number two, you'll have more time in application and learning it actually. Number three, it's just not sometimes worth it. Sometimes it's like just a little bit of fear preventing you, or uncertainty even, maybe not full on fear, but just a little uncertainty, which is still in that range of, I just don't know, blah, blah, blah. Invest in yourself and your workflow, and then get what you actually want to get. If you know Adobe is it, and it's just going to be a bit of a learning curve, maybe move up some of the video ideas that are shorter in time length, so you're not doing as much to the edit, but you can start exporting, getting the workflow and the process of like bringing in the file, I'm editing it, maybe it's a short, maybe it's a vertical video, and then I'm exporting. And so getting that repetition of learning, repetition is the mother of all learning. You're getting that repetition, and it's like, okay, now if you want to add one more thing in, like let's say keyframing, now you're just progressively adding in one more thing. Maybe you just focus on adding one thing to every video where you have to practice keyframing. And because of that, it's like, okay, add that one extra thing on top of what I'm doing. At some point, it will click. It will click. If you look at some of the people that did use these different programs, it's learnable. All things are learnable. I'm a firm believer of that. David Hunt in the building. Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Saying Crisp's software application that creates a virtual mic for your computer. Okay, very interesting. Saying I made a video about it. Well, Luis Vega, we appreciate that you made a video. Everybody go check out Mr. Camera Junkie's video if you want to check out Crisp. And it works in your taskbar. Yeah, awesome. Saying no affiliate link yet. Get on it, man. Get on it. Have you used the FX30? Not yet. I don't have mine yet. So the FX30 is not in the offices yet, and so don't have much of an opinion of it, other than I love it before it arrives. Like, it's not going to, in my opinion, and I know myself enough as a person and as a creator that I'm not going to have any problems with that camera. It's like, I just don't like, or I thought it would be better. It's like, no. I promise you, I've been in the camera space enough and like obsess over these different things, and even going to the extent of reading manuals to see how something actually works, which is how I learn a lot. I read the manual. I'm not going to have any problems with the FX30. My opinion, it's a fantastic camera. Do I have mine yet? No. Will I have it soon? Yes. But in the meantime, I still think it's an amazing camera, my opinion. Saying thanks so much. I currently have the Movo, but the Deity sounds great. Yeah, that's the other option with that Deity D4 Duo that I was showing. I don't know what the pickup pattern is on that microphone per se, but like if it's super cardioid or omnidirectional. One microphone that I really liked though was it's like a Shure microphone. I can't remember it, but you could adjust in the app in your phone. You could adjust like the pickup pattern. Doc just recently got this one, which brought it back to my remembrance. But I tried that out a couple years ago, maybe in like 2019. Fantastic cameras, not fantastic camera, fantastic app or whatever. But the Deity D4 Duo, it's an amazing microphone. I'm curious on the pickup pattern for this one. Yeah, I think it's just omnidirectional. Let me just search. Nope. Dual cardioid. So dual cardioid pickup patterns. That's fine. Which will still, reject quite a bit around you. But the smarter these microphones become, the better it is for everybody. As far as the ones that don't require cables and stuff, like the new Sony ones, are amazing. But yeah, for dual setups and stuff like that, the Deity D4 Duo, I'd pick that hands down. Just because, like, Deity does a great job with audio. Some of these companies make a lot of different accessories, and then they'll throw in a microphone somewhere in the mix. Deity, being an audio specific and audio first company, even though they maybe have a few other things, they make some really, really amazing stuff. Saying yes, best of both, no complaints. Okay. Question from was the NP or in Philly Films? Good to see you. Glad you're here. What's your go-to streaming lenses now, in your opinion, on the 24mm lens, which is best? Lenses always comes down to a preference, especially when you're talking about what kind of content you plan to make. How close you are to your camera, what camera body are you slapping that on? So for me personally, I've always preferred for my live streams, from trying the 16mm, from trying 20mm lenses, the 24mm lenses with Sony and stuff, extremely sharp, amazing, incredible lenses. Not my cup of tea because it's too wide and we would still crop in anyways. So it wouldn't serve me personally. Is it a bad lens because of that? No, it's just not my personal preference. But as far as like my opinion on the live streaming, I just prefer, it's my personal preference of where my camera sits, how I like the way it looks, the depth perception that you get with the blurry background and stuff like that. And just from where I'm sitting and stuff, I personally like that. On my A6400, that's what I use. So if you use something like a 24mm lens, it's just up to you. Where are you going to sit? Most people may have that camera and tripod immediately behind their desk. There's no real space other than an arm's length, and that gives you more of a wider perspective potentially of your office and what you want in the shot and stuff like that. If that works for you, or maybe you got it sitting in the corner and you're trying to get like a wider shot while having a blurry background, 24mm would be great. Even a 16 if it's not too wide, depending on the space. But if you're using Sony, you have clear and zoom to kind of adjust for that when you're using prime lenses. But a 35 is perfect for me. Do you need to see the extra bookshelf on the side? No. Do you need to see the other table on the other side? No. It's just, I just like to keep it simple. I'm a plain Jane in that regard. But 24mm is sharp. Saying, got it. Think systematically. Appreciate that. Very welcome. And thank you. You're very welcome. Glad to be of service. I really like the background blur and framing of the video. So again, it's always there's no wrong answer for what you want to use for your live streaming setup. It really isn't. Just because who could tell you that it's wrong? You know what I'm saying? Who could say, oh, you shouldn't do that? Like, no, it's whatever you want. Honestly. 35mm for somebody maybe that doesn't have as much space, or maybe you're recording in a corner of a room, probably wouldn't be best at that point, because you are just, it's nothing but your head literally is so zoomed in. So, but 24 is a nice happy medium for a lot of people. And that's fine. For me, 16 is great anywhere else in the office, and we still crop in a bit because it's slightly too wide. And this is in a small home office studio space, real small. So again, if you like the way it looks on you and in your space, and that's really what you're going for and how efficient it is and helps you to create, go for the gold. Go for the gold. Let's see. Back in the chat, the Final Cut Pro is easy, and I didn't want to go with the subscription module in English model in Adobe. We use Adobe at work. I use Final Cut for my personal. That's amazing. So yeah, ease of use and efficiency is a big defining factor for me, just because I believe whether you're just doing content creation around something that you're excited about, love, and enjoy, or you're creating video content or something based on your business and what you love and enjoy around that, efficiency. Like, why would we want to sign up to be creators and invest in all these things and it sucks? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, nah. So yeah, it's like, for me, I tried Adobe. I've tried Adobe on a couple times. I've worked with Adobe on some things. It's a great program. But for me, it just is not, it has not been, it just hasn't been my glove, if you will. So yeah, it's a personal thing. And Final Cut Pro autosave and the easy plugins is why I use it. Yeah, man, I could get everything that I want. It's not too much of anything that I don't need. So maybe they should sponsor you. Send a message to support at Final Cut Pro. No, I'm just kidding. Saying, question, I have a handmade business and want to market it through YouTube. I don't really want to make how-to business videos because I'm new to business and it's not really my thing. Continued. Saying, is making more lifestyle type content a good way to grow opposed to searchable tutorial type videos? I know that growing on YouTube is a complicated equation, so sorry if this is hard to answer. Let's go back to the first part of your question. You have a handmade business and you want to market it through YouTube. Okay, what is the goal with the content that you're going to be creating? Is this something that you want an outlet for that will be a personal enjoyment to you? Or are you making videos that you ultimately want to support and lead back to your business and people buying your stuff, kind of a thing? Not that they won't with the first option. It's just a matter of, what do you want? If I know that I'm not interested in cameras, I don't care about it. Like like if that's how I felt, and let's say I really cared about interior design, I'm hurting myself in an extent. Unless it's just legit business and I'm keeping it black and white and it's business, then my feelings are out of it, because I'm maybe doing something else that is fulfilling outside of that. So it's annoying, like, why am I making these videos? So that's what I would say. If you're making handcrafts, for example, I've watched certain leather makers that make handmade leather, like wallets, pouches, whatever, purses. They're making leather goods. If that is supposed to lead back into your thing, having a lifestyle around that, like lifestyle vlogs, people follow vlogs because of the person or because of their interest in what that person is doing. Like, again, if you're a leather maker, for example, and it's like, I want to know how to start a business like that, or I want to see what that business looks like, then they'll watch it for that kind of reason. It has to be some other value proposition there. But if the point is to get into something else, like what is your handmade business? What is that? What are you doing? Right? I'll share with you this brand, and I think this will help you. If we go over to the Tubes U, and we go over to a brand, a wonderful company. It's like, what is it? Evan and Caitlin. I think they do a fantastic job of mixing their interests, and don't get discouraged by maybe the size of this channel or just like, oh, but just relax. Let's just take in the vision here. Evan and Caitlin, I've been following them for a long time. They make things around the things that they're interested in. Resin making, like I say, woodworking, 3D printing, home makeovers, and then their cat, the producer. But, it's pumpkin season time. How can they blend something that's trending with something that they're interested in around what they do? And they do they did at one point sell some of the things that they made. They may still have some stuff outside of like their regular merch stuff. But so they say, okay, how can we blend Halloween and resin? I don't know. Let's see if we can resin pour a freaking pumpkin and make it glow and see how that works. And maybe we can make a coffee table thing. Do we know if the pumpkin's going to rot? Let's find out together. Phone cases and stuff. So they're just blending the things that they like with what they're doing. So not these people. So if you just look at their channel, again, they make hand goods or handcrafted stuff, or they did at a time, and they're mixing and blending the two together. And so when you look at the kind of stuff that they make, they enjoy resin pours. How can we blend this in with what we're doing? So if you are seeding that, like, we make this stuff and we sell it, we're just showing you some of that. It's in a fun way. They do it in a very holistic and fun way of, like, let's just make some stuff for fun. This was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen, which was a velvet toilet seat. It was just weird. But it involves the things that they like. But they're making these, they're in that maker space. But I love it because it's just them, their personality. It still gives you some of that lifestyle-esque, like your personality embedded in there. But like this rainbow LED resin desk one of my favorite videos that they've ever made, just because it was something that blended what they liked. Like you can see up here in the thumbnail. Oh, I like this. You can view the full thumbnail. It blended the things of what they like, which is resin pouring, making things with something that would be interested in around, like finding and identifying a target niche and audience that enjoys that. Other DIY makers, other people that make stuff by hand and from scratch. Other people that maybe are into gaming and they want something cool, because everybody has RGB lights. So it's about blending and mixing the two crafts and stuff together. It just was really cool. So when you look at that from that perspective of something you make, something you like, how can we blend and weave these two together? And so I don't know what you make exactly, or the how you make it, or what approach you take to doing stuff like that. But I would say that's a nice, healthy way to approach that. Do they get brand sponsors and stuff? Yeah, all the time. And guess what? From companies like Home Depot, who they were naturally going to and buying, in addition to Lowe's and other resin companies and stuff like that. So there's a way to mend it together. You don't have to be tutorials and how-tos. They're not even specifically showing you the how of, like, step one, you need to get this much resin. It's a more casual, laid back style. It's the same framework, different approach. Hopefully that helps. Question, have you used the DaVinci Resolve, and what's your thoughts on it? I have used DaVinci Resolve. I think the current version of it today is far better, more user-friendly than the version that was back in like 2015, 2016, because they took the insight from creators and people that use the program and edit and stuff to make sure that it was hitting where it needed to hit. And so I've even recently been trying it and using it for some things. I think DaVinci Resolve is great. I think it's great. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole a few years ago because I'm like, it's clunky. I'm like, oh man, this is weird. But now, and then more specifically, for those of you that decide on DaVinci Resolve and you think that's an avenue that you want to take, you're going to find quite a few tutorials. You'll find more transitions, title screens, different effects and stuff that you want to use for editing. You'll find that online. You can buy that stuff now, you know what I'm saying? Or get a subscription to whatever company and get assets and stuff like that. So it's much more of a viable option, not because it was bad quality. It just wasn't always creator friendly, if you will. So I think DaVinci Resolve is amazing. I said, thank you, Diana. Also, Rocket Rose Vlogs. Oh, okay. So, okay. Yeah. Thank you, Rocket Rose Vlogs. We appreciate your assistance in the chat. Saying Sam's Exotics, if you make shorts and TikToks, they will get lots of views. That's true too. And that's a great point to make, because you can literally post, and we do this all the time. We'll sometimes post it later, or sometimes we'll post it first to, like Instagram's kind of, but post it to YouTube short or something like that. Sometimes post it to Instagram, and then it's like, meh. kind of response or kind of engagement and stuff like that. Post it to TikTok. Love it. Not because TikTok is better, but they've been better in a lot of respects when it comes to those things, because people's social behavior is very different there, and it's easier to get sometimes those engagements. And there is ways to transition that audience from TikTok maybe back to your YouTube channel, or TikTok into like, how can I buy? And it's very easy to buy stuff, in the sense that Instagram has been like that, where you get an ad or somebody, you get an ad or some kind of suggested something to you. Not really the suggested, I take that back. You get an ad for something. Those are very well dialed in. I've found on Instagram historically, where it's like, would you like to such and such? And it's like, why, yes, I would. You buy. Same with TikTok. You see something, you're like, oh, that'd be dope. Or you see a creator making something. How can I get this? It's very easy. It's very transactional and very easy. And to get people to like and engage and want to keep seeing it. So yeah, that's a great recommendation. I'm glad you brought that up. So thanks so much for that insight. Let's see. What's your basic filming settings? Family makes sense. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. I love that channel name, by the way. Here's what I would say. Keep it simple and duplicatable. My filming settings have never changed. It's 4K, 24 frames per second. The aperture is usually as low as that particular lens can go. On my live streaming setup, that's an f1.8 lens, which is why you can get the background blur that you do. Then on the Sigma 16, it is going to be an f1.4. The ISO, which deals with light sensitivity, is always going to be based on the time of day that I'm recording, which I try to manage that. I tinted my office windows so I'm not getting too much fill in light into the office. Some people like that. I didn't, because it kept making the exposure valuations change, and then sometimes the lighting is warm because it's the summertime, and so we do have to change the kelvins on the lightings a little bit and adjust for the white balance. So we do make a shift from summer to winter. So pro tip there, depending if you're using a lighting source, we do make a shift every year. For the winter seasons where it's cooler, you're getting more of that bluish hue of daylight temperature. And so we want to keep it warm because it can impact your skin tone, especially when you have a darker hue. I found that it just impacts you a little bit differently. So I tinted my windows. I can still get some light, but it's not enough to impact the lighting in the video. So the ISO is going to be based on the time of day that I'm recording and where I'm at. That usually doesn't go anywhere between something around like a 120-ish or not even ISO 100. Yeah, we're not at ISO 100. Somewhere about that range, though, up to about 250 maybe. Those are always my settings, always. If I did, like when I'm traveling and I don't want like super large file sizes or something, and I'm doing 1080p, it's still the same. The ISO is going to fluctuate with the environment in addition to the white balance, because I'm setting that per thing, but I keep my settings super simple. Let's go, brother Kurt in the building. Brother was on. Now I haven't watched the vlog yet, Kurt, but I'm gonna say congrats on being part of like the chosen show series and stuff like that, or at least being somewhere in the space. I haven't watched the vlog yet, but props to you, my brother. So are we looking for? You know what? I'm glad you said something. No, we're not, because we're hitting that 2 hour minute. We are not doing a 5-hour energy live stream. But look, those of you, whether you're new or you're coming back around to the channel watching the replay, thanks for being here. We are not doing a 5-hour energy live stream. That means we're streaming for 5 hours? Not at all. Not at all. And what are those, Dino, were those full frame or APS-C focal lengths? I use APS-C in all my cameras. What I'm referring to still would be the same, to be honest with you. Just because, like, if I was, and so 24 for the most, putting 24 will give you a different depth perception on the full frame for sure, in addition to 35. But I still would use a 35 or a 50. That's the only thing that will probably change on a full frame camera. So if I took those same focal lengths, what I'm saying for my office is 35 here, 16 on Sigma 16. Those are APS-C. If I had a full frame camera, like if I was doing like the A7 IV, for example, I still personally like a 35. I don't know what it is about it. It's just my personal preference. I like a 35. So I would still probably get one of those when I'm still trying to get the equivalent of this kind of a look, though. On a full frame, it would be like a 50 millimeter. But I just don't vibe with 50. 35, something about 35. So I still would. But equivalent would be like a 50. A 24 still would be like a similar. It still would be similar as far as the focal range and stuff. Like you're still looking at a 24 millimeter with a 16 millimeter on APS-C. I said that probably confusingly, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. If you don't, just let me clarify later. But yeah, it's always good to be in the room with Lady D. Appreciate it. Have you done an out of the box tutorial setup for a podcast, including gear, setup tweaks, and etc.? For at home, I think I did like an overview of it or whatever, but not like the traditional setup. No unboxings, no, because everything's already out of the box. But yeah, I have covered in a previous video. It might have been, might have been even close to a year now ago, where I did a video breaking down what that setup would look like. But again, what I recommend is a very simple, plain Jane efficiency setup. I don't try to go for the gold in just having stuff for the sake of having stuff. It has to work efficiently. So like I said, it's the A6400 35 millimeter f1.8 lens, Camlink 4K, an extension cable that's 3.1 USB cable, Rodecaster Pro 2 currently. I've been testing something out recently, which we'll have a review coming on the channel for. Shure SM7B, Ecamm Live. That's the setup. If I was doing a podcast, it's the same thing. Again, my systems serve me. It serves the content. If I want to do a podcast, it's this. If I want to make videos, it's this. Unless I'm going someplace else in the room, in the office. If I want to do interviews, it's this. It's always the same. Like tonight, 6 o'clock, Central Standard Time, we got our community live stream for the video Simplified membership community. It's the same thing. It's the exact same system. Video podcast, it would be the exact same system. If I'm live switching or something, then yeah, I still would use Ecamm, because I can't really see. I'll tell you this, I'm planning a video for something similar around that for a different like remote setup, but that's what I would say. In-house, that's that setup. Externally, out of the house, something slightly different, but yeah, that'll be coming to a theater near you very shortly here in the next couple months. Let's see here. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed. Yeah, I know y'all having a conversation between Rocket Rose vlogs, and I have a video on that. As far as storytelling and planning a video, there actually is a video on storytelling. No, because I took that video down. I took one of the videos down, but I did just because I wanted to repurpose it differently. But as far as planning, yeah, I do. As far as storytelling, no, because I took that one down. So it was at one point, but I have a couple of them, as you say. So I appreciate you for sharing that. Alrighty, guys, we have hit not the top of the hour, but somewhere close to it, and there are no more questions in the chat. So I assume everybody has their questions answered. And so if you haven't hit the like button, make sure you do that if you've gotten value out of the stream. Coffee's still hot and delicious. So I see no more. I'm give it a quick couple, 1, 2, maybe 3 minutes if anybody has any additional questions before we bring it on home for the day. If not, we are not doing a 5-hour energy live stream. We're going to cut it at 2 hours, and we're at 1 hour. Oh, we're almost there. We had 1 hour 59 minutes. But if you have questions, feel free to ask. I will stay and answer your question. But to my understanding, I believe we got to everyone's question. I think going once, going twice. All right, that's what I'm gonna call it. I don't see no more questions. Guys, thanks so much for being here on the Friday Live Helpcast. This will be every Friday at 11:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. I hope you got value out of the stream, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. Video Simplified Membership Community, we have a session this evening, a Q&A live session. So if you're part of the membership community, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. With that, guys, we'll be passing. I'll see you on the next video. Now, wait, every time, you know better. I said this last stream. What is this? What is this? Question 24 to 70 G Master. What? You heard me do the whole thing. The whole thing, Philly Films. You heard me. Y'all saw what happened, right? You saw it. Did I not say you got like a minute or so? Y'all wrong. 24 to 70 G Master. Can't go wrong with it. It's a great lens. And I'm not going to belabor the point because we are going to wrap it up. But it's a great lens. Here's the thing. If you do not think that lens might be right for the use case of what you intend to do, rent it. Rent it. Dina.link/lens rentals should give you a discount off. If not, hit me up on Instagram and I'll send you a link where you can get $25 off of your first rental with Lens Rentals. You don't feel like it's right for you, you don't have to buy it. You can rent it. Spend like 70 bucks or something, or whatever it costs, maybe 120 or something. Depending on it fluctuates per price of the gear. Rent it. Try it out. See how well it fits for you. But if not, then you didn't have to spend thousands of dollars to figure out the answer. Or you could decide, like, you know what? This is perfect for me. They even have where you can buy whatever you're renting. Sometimes depending on the gear and how much inventory they have. They'll let you buy it and use what you spent towards the rental. Use a portion of that towards the purchasing of that. So test it out. Saying thanks so much, Mr. Camera Junkie. You're very welcome. Thanks for Family Makes Sense. Glad to be of service. Now we've officially reached the end of the stream. No more questions. Y'all play me every week. Every week. But that is where I'm leaving it. Thanks so much for being here, whether you're watching this live or on the replay. With that, guys, live with passion. I'll see you on the next video here on the channel. Peace.